Iran says the International Atomic Energy Agency's request for complementary access to sites in the country is not based on reason.
So the main point is not simply about providing one or two complementary accesses. It is mainly about the fact that such requests should be based on a clear reasoning and principles in accordance with the agency's relevant documents, which was not the case for the last two requests for complementary accesses. Possessing thousands of nuclear warheads.
Kazem Gharibabadi called on the IAEA to maintain its credibility and not follow up on any empty claims passed onto it. The agency last week accused Iran of denying its inspectors access to two sites in January. The IAEA's request was based on some diplomats saying the sites were used in the past for projects that had military dimension. The possible military dimension of Iran's nuclear program was officially closed in 2015 after the signing of Iran's nuclear deal, which the US withdrew from in 2018. Gharib Abadi said all remaining sides should try to preserve the deal. Jason Unruhe is a political commentator who joins us out of Ontario. Mr. Unruhe, welcome. What do you make of Iran's position here with regards to the IAEA?
Well, I think it's rather strange that they would suddenly make these requests based on what is essentially no information. I think it's interesting that they would claim that Iran is possibly in violation of the deal based on an accusation that someone made, considering that there was a very long history of these accusations being false. Iran has a completely spotless record of following the line of the JCPOA agreement. There has never been a note of them violating it at any time. Iran has done absolutely everything that was required of it and has made no violations. Yet we are suddenly supposed to believe that there's this violation that has just come out of nowhere, that there's this violation that's probably coming from the same source that made the allegations of a secret nuclear weapons program that turned out to be, I believe it was a carpet cleaning business or a former carpet cleaning business. The fact is, no one can just make up random accusations and then expect Iran to have to go through all of the unnecessary steps of having somebody come down to escort them, to open up facilities for these individuals, all this just because somebody makes a random accusation. What you need is actual proof. And if Iran has received anything from largely the pro-Western, pro-imperialist international community, has been false accusations of violating the agreement, and they have all proven to be false from day one. I mean, this is almost irresponsible on their part. Any kind of attempt to create more international traffic at a time when the coronavirus is savaging the world is frankly irresponsible. I mean, this is something that this is completely unnecessary, and they're doing this unnecessary thing at a time when the situation is vulnerable for many people's health. It seems that there's no real practical reason for this,
right.
And it's almost that this is a harassing tactic against Iran.
And Jason, the other dimension to all this is many would, you alluded to it as well, many would say the hypocrisy in all this is that the US's own intelligence community has admitted that Iran's nuclear program is peaceful, yet we know that Israel has hundreds of nuclear warheads and has never allowed IAEA inspectors to visit its nuclear sites.
Yes, this is a tremendous hypocrisy by the West and by Israel more specifically. But they are constantly calling for these false investigations into Iran when we already know there's a completely unregulated nuclear stockpile inside of Israel, who I believe obtained them illegally, probably owns them illegally, and receives no oversight from the international community, when basically everybody else is responsible for doing so. So there was a very clear double standard here. Israel is allowed to carry these nuclear weapons without any kind of inspection, without any kind of legal basis, and threaten their regional neighbors with them. But if Iran builds it simply to fill their own medical and energy needs, then all of a sudden the community acts as though the greatest crime has been committed, and it shows that the IAEA is essentially, without openly declaring it, essentially working for the imperialist powers here, while trying to maintain a veneer of objectivity. That they'll put all this effort into investigating, which are almost 100% guaranteed to be false accusations made by the same powers, which are deliberately helping Israel keep an illegal nuclear stockpile itself, and it's just frankly tremendously dishonest.
Mr. Unruhe, thank you very much for your contribution. Jason Unruhe there is a political commentator joining us out of Ontario.